For this 4th of July Rise Up, I want to talk about the meaning of American Independence Day. And while many of us are returning to normal today, perhaps gathering again with family and friends, I have to take a moment to reflect on the sheer strangeness of the last 4 Independence Day celebrations. Our former president reveled in the trappings of patriotism, embracing the flag while eschewing the ideas it represents. He put his own need for attention at the center of the celebrations each year, demanding weapons of war be brought in for his own aggrandizement. And last year, orchestrating gatherings of thousands of Americans while a pandemic raged due in part to his own incompetence. And even while constantly surrounded by red, white, and blue, that man never bothered to learn the real history of this great nation, remaining deliberately ignorant regarding some of its greatest figures.
Frederick Douglass is an example of somebody who's done an amazing job and is being recognized more and more, I notice.
The former president was rightly mocked for that comment, as it betrayed the depth of his historical ignorance surrounding one of the greatest Americans who ever lived. Frederick Douglass, of course, was a renowned abolitionist who escaped the brutality of American slavery at the age of 21 and went on to become an unparalleled writer, orator, and driver of social change. He gave one of the most well-known speeches on the occasion of Independence Day. In the speech entitled, "What to the Slave is the 4th of July?" Douglass forced his audience to own the inherent hypocrisy of their celebration, reminding them of the slaves who, quote, chains heavy and grievous yesterday are today rendered more intolerable by the Jubilee shouts that reached them, end of quote. Douglass's genius was in not shying away from the inherent contradictions in the American story. This nation was founded on the ideas of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, words that have echoed through the centuries as the rallying cry of freedom, but words that all the same were penned by a man who held his fellow human beings in bondage and ratified by men occupying stolen land. And while American slavery was abolished within Douglass's lifetime, his own words still reverberate as powerfully as Jefferson's, because we still have lessons to learn from them. Douglass encouraged his audience to stand by the principles of the Declaration of Independence against all foes and whatever cost, just as Frederick Douglass once fought for abolition as the first and most imperative step toward the fulfillment of the American promise, so too must we fight for liberty and justice for all. Generations of Americans have fought at home and abroad to ensure that we can safely celebrate this Independence Day. It is those untold thousands who make this country worth celebrating, from the very first American patriots who served in the Revolutionary War to Frederick Douglass and his abolitionist contemporaries, to the thousands of activists and freedom fighters who have spent centuries fighting to make the United States the more perfect union promised in the Constitution. Even now, as we celebrate our ancestors and that legacy, our very democracy is under siege from all sides. In the spirit of Independence Day and in the tradition of Frederick Douglass, we have to rise up together and save it. On this Independence Day, what could be more patriotic than that?